Every time you get angry, you hand your power to someone else. The calmest person in the room, that's the real leader. Not because they're passive, but because nothing shakes them. They've built an inner fortress no insult, rejection, or betrayal can enter. If your peace still depends on how others act, you're not in control. They are. Emotional discipline isn't optional anymore. It's the edge the world's strongest minds already have. In a few moments, you'll learn the secret to staying calm and unbothered, no matter who tries to provoke you. Your reaction is your responsibility. You do not control what others say or do, but you control how you respond. That truth alone is the foundation of power. Anger is a fire. You can feed it or you can extinguish it. The wise man doesn't burn with rage, he burns with purpose. Proverbs 16:32 says, "He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." When someone offends you, remember, they are offering you their weakness. Will you accept it, or will you offer strength instead? You are not a puppet. You are not at the mercy of someone else's bad day. You are the master of your emotional estate. Like a skilled gardener, you uproot bitterness before it poisons your soil. Train yourself to pause, to breathe, to say nothing when fury begs you to speak. This discipline is the beginning of true power. Abraham Lincoln, during his presidency, often wrote letters filled with rage, but he never sent them. He knew the damage of reaction. Instead, he chose response. And history remembers him not for his outbursts, but for his composure. So must you. Offense is a choice, not a sentence. People will talk. They will mock your name, twist your motives, and assign to you stories that were never yours. That is the world. It always has been. Men will provoke. They will spread falsehoods in back rooms and disguise it as truth in public. And if you are not careful, you will begin to respond to each word, defend every blow, and retaliate at every jab. But here lies the trap. Offense is your decision. It is not given, it is taken. And once you take it, you have given something far more valuable in return, your peace. Even Jesus Christ, the one whose mission was divine, was not spared from this. He was spat upon. He was flogged. He was crowned with thorns and crucified like a criminal. And still, as the hammer drove the nails, he did not curse his accusers. Instead, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." In that moment, he taught us a truth few ever learn. Forgiveness is the highest throne of. You must never lower yourself to match the temperature of someone else's fury. When others burn with anger, let your spirit remain calm. When they slander, let your character speak louder than their noise. When they try to provoke, do not play their game. A lion never flinches at the bark of a street dog. Why? Because it knows what it is. And so must you. You must know who you are. Booker T. Washington, born into slavery, he rose to become one of the most respected educators and leaders of his time. At the height of racial tension in America, when insults and prejudice followed him at every step, he was once confronted by a man on the street who ridiculed him for walking alongside white colleagues. Instead of reacting, Mr. Washington smiled and kept walking. Later he wrote, "I shall permit no man to narrow and degrade my soul by making me hate him. That is strength, that is victory, not in the retaliation, but in the refusal to stoop." Each time you take things personally, you lose a piece of your power. You hand over your joy, your clarity, and your dominion to someone who did not earn it. But when you refuse to be offended, when you decide, "This does not define me," you become immovable, like a pillar in the storm, like a mountain unmoved by the wind. Practice this daily. The next time someone mocks you, gossips about you, challenges your worth, pause. Do not react. Ask yourself, does this define who I am? If the answer is no, then let it pass, like wind, like noise behind a closed door. Let it pass. Because you are not a sponge for other people's dysfunctions. You are a temple, a throne, a flame that doesn't flicker with every gust. Stand tall. Be still. Stay noble. That's how you win. 3. Emotional mastery starts in solitude. Silence is not absence. It is preparation. It is the quiet chamber where your strength sharpens, your spirit strengthens, and your future is carved out in invisible ink. The world glorifies noise, shouting, boasting, reacting, but true power does not make a sound. It simmers, it watches, it waits, and when it finally speaks, the world listens. Psalm 46:10 whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." There is divine strategy hidden in that stillness, for it is not mere quiet, but a holy pause. In stillness, you are not doing less. You are becoming more. You are not withdrawing. You are preparing. You are not absent. You are in attendance with your inner world. The man who masters his anger, who conquers his inner war, is not the one who bursts out in fury or wrestles for dominance in every room. No, he is the man who sits with himself, who breathes through the fire, who trains his emotions in silence until they bow in obedience to purpose. Every day must begin with silence. Give yourself this time alone, not to escape the world, but to prepare for it. Reflect on what you are building. Pray for the wisdom to act wisely. Write down your vision so it may become anchored in your mind. Listen for what your soul is trying to say. Think of solitude like a forge, a place of fire not for destruction but for shaping. When you step into silence, you are like raw iron placed in heat, not to melt but to be molded. You enter scattered, you exit shaped, like steel. Mahatma Gandhi understood this well. Before facing empires, before enduring prison and persecution, he often fasted and meditated in private. His strength wasn't in angry speeches. It wasn't in retaliation. His weapon was clarity, and clarity was born in silence. When he spoke, he moved nations, not because his voice was loud, but because it was forged in solitude. You must do the same. You cannot afford to live reactive. You cannot wake up and let the world set your tone. Begin with silence. Let stillness set the rhythm of your day. Guard it like treasure, because if you do not command your emotions in private, they will command you in public. If you do not train your thoughts when alone, they will betray you when challenged. Silence is not weakness. It is dominion. It is authority exercised internally. In silence, you rise above chaos. In silence, you become your own master. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend everything. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your life, your decisions, your peace, they will speak for you. So practice stillness not once, but daily. Make it your foundation, not your emergency plan. Let your solitude become your sanctuary, the place where you meet God, where you meet purpose, where you meet your highest self. When the world shakes, let your silence be the anchor. When people provoke, let your silence be the shield. And when the time comes to act, your words will not be noise. They will be weapons of precision. Silence is not what the world sees, but it is where the unseen man is built. And that man, strong, stable, clear, is the one who wins. 4. Understand that most people are hurting. The insult hurled at you isn't always about you. Often, it is a mirror held up to someone else's suffering. People speak from their wounds. They bleed on those who didn't cut them. The bitterness they aim in your direction is often bitterness they cannot unload anywhere else. That is why you must learn this essential truth. Their behavior is not your burden. Ephesians 4:31-32 commands, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you." These aren't just poetic words. They are practical instructions for emotional mastery. The moment you allow bitterness to live in your heart, you give the world the keys to your peace. Behind every angry face is usually a wounded heart. When someone lashes out at you, pause, breathe, and try to see the child behind the adult. What pain are they carrying? What fear are they hiding? What shame are they burying beneath that insult? When you learn to ask these questions, you change the battlefield. Empathy doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross, she served wounded soldiers in the midst of the Civil War, on both sides. Despite repeated attacks, slander, and rejection by some who questioned her methods or even her motives, she never responded with venom. Once a colleague reminded her of a cruel insult someone had thrown at her years earlier. Clara replied, "I distinctly remember forgetting that." That is emotional mastery. She refused to let offense live rent-free in her mind. She chose to release it, not for the offender's sake, but for her own, because she had work to do, lives to serve, purpose to fulfill, and grudges weigh more than most people can carry. When you understand this, you stop reacting to people. You stop dancing to the tune of their chaos. You see with new eyes. You lead with compassion, not confusion. This is not passivity. It is power. The power to rise above the noise, the power to hold your peace when others have lost theirs, the power to move forward without dragging the weight of anger behind you. You must practice this. The next time someone disrespects you, don't absorb it, don't mirror it. Don't let it become your identity. Ask instead, what pain might this person be carrying? And what strength must I now show? Not every insult deserves your reply. Some only deserve your silence. Others, your kindness. This is not about tolerating abuse. It's about choosing your response with intention, not emotion. It's about building a life not easily shaken by every comment, every glance, every jab. When you understand people, you stop reacting to them, and when you stop reacting, you start living. Let your peace become your fortress. Let your empathy become your armor, and let your purpose become your compass. Because the moment you decide that nothing outside of you can dictate what lives inside of you, you have won. Not just the argument, not just the moment, but the war within. And that is a victory worth everything. 5. Anger drains what peace builds. Every time you give in to anger, you lose energy, mental energy, emotional energy, even physical energy. Anger is not just a reaction, it is a thief. It robs you of focus, of clarity, of joy. You may feel powerful in the moment, but what you are actually doing is draining your inner reserves. And when those reserves run dry, your vision becomes blurred, your decisions impulsive, and your life unstable. Peace, on the other hand, builds you up. Isaiah 26:3 assures us, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." This is not a passive peace. This is fortified peace, grown in the soil of discipline, watered by trust, protected by focus. It is the reward of those who refuse to give their mind to every offense, every irritation, every storm. You must train yourself to stay anchored. Keep your mind stayed on what matters, your purpose, your mission, your integrity. Anything, and I mean anything, that takes you off course is too expensive. Let it go. You cannot afford to waste your power on petty things. You were not born to be reactive. You were born to be resolute. Think of your mind as a bank. Every angry outburst is a withdrawal. Every reaction that steals your focus is a leak in your account. But every calm response, every moment of stillness, every time you choose peace over panic, you make a deposit. You build emotional wealth. You become rich in clarity, strong in presence, and unshaken in storms. Andrew Carnegie, the great steel magnate who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the wealthiest men of his time, understood this principle well. As his influence grew, he was surrounded by critics, advisors, flatterers, and enemies alike. Yet he once remarked, "As I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do." Why? Because he refused to waste his energy on noise. He conserved it for decisions, for progress, for legacy. His peace came not from detachment, but from wisdom. He knew that every emotional reaction had a cost, and he chose to invest only where it mattered. You must do the same. Build your emotional reserves like a fortress. Don't react to every comment. Don't defend every accusation. Don't swing at every provocation. Instead, rise above. Let your peace speak louder than your words. Let your calm become your signature. This is not about bottling your feelings. It is about mastering them. It is about recognizing that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. That your mind is a battlefield, and peace is your greatest weapon. So train for peace. Make it your habit. Begin your mornings with silence. Return to your breath when tension rises. Anchor yourself in gratitude when chaos knocks. Respond slowly. Speak gently. Move deliberately. Every day, accumulate peace. Stack it like currency. Because when the storms of life rise, and they will, the ones who stand are not those with the loudest voices, but those with the deepest roots. Keep your reserves full. Protect your energy like treasure. And remember, peace is not proved in words. It is proven in restraint. In a world that rewards reactivity, choose mastery, choose calm, choose discipline. That is how you build emotional wealth, and that is how you win. Purpose makes you immune to petty things. You cannot be easily bothered when your mind is fixed on your calling. A man consumed by purpose does not break his stride for the barks of criticism. He does not pause to argue with the voices behind him. The man with a mission understands. Every distraction is a delay, and every delay is costly. Philippians 3:14 gives us the blueprint. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. That pressing forward is not just movement, it is protection. Purpose shields you. It narrows your vision. It trims the fat of pettiness. It silences unnecessary battles. When your eyes are on the summit, you do not argue with those lingering at base camp. Petty people argue. Purposeful people ascend. It is a law of energy. The higher you rise, the thinner the air, and the quieter the noise. When your life is rooted in something higher, something holy, you simply do not have the emotional margin to be offended. You have mountains to climb, people to lift, futures to shape. Why waste your breath proving yourself to those who are not even climbing? Every minute you spend being angry is a minute stolen from your mission. That is the true cost of offense. It doesn't just steal your peace, it steals your momentum. And once momentum is lost, even the strongest vision grows weary. Theodore Roosevelt understood this deeply. Long before the presidency, he endured ruthless attacks from his own party. They mocked his ideals, challenged his convictions, and tried to break his spirit. But Roosevelt did not flinch. He said aggressive fighting for the right is the noblest sport the world affords. He didn't get tangled in gossip or petty rivalries. His eyes were on the reform, on the nation, on the legacy. He chose the mountain over the mud. You must do the same. Focus is not just a strategy, it is a discipline. You must train yourself to ignore what does not build you. You must resist the temptation to respond to every insult, to defend every step. Your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your restraint is not fear, it is force channeled. The world will always have noise, critics, cynics, jealous hearts, but their volume does not define your value. Your mission does, your integrity does, your progress does. So stay focused. Let others waste their breath trying to drag you into debates. Let them talk. Let them provoke. You walk forward. You press on. You climb. Think of your energy as sacred fuel. Don't spill it on arguments. Don't waste it on reactions. Invest it in your calling. Spend it on your growth. Use it to light the path for others. Because the man who finishes the race is not the one who shouted the loudest, but the one who never stopped running. The one who looked beyond the hecklers and saw the crown. The one who understood that greatness is not proved by retaliation, but by relentless progression. So fix your eyes on your calling. Set your feet on the path. Guard your mind like treasure, and press on. Let the world bark, complain, gossip, and doubt. Let them. You have a summit to reach, and when you get there, you will see every offense you ignored, every distraction you declined, every petty battle you walked past. It was all worth it, because the view from the top doesn't remember the noise from below. 7. You can train your mind to stay calm. Calmness is not a trait, it is a habit, a discipline, a muscle built over time, through trial, through discomfort, through repetition. You cannot expect to remain calm in the storms of life if you have only trained under clear skies. Calmness isn't born, it is built, and it is built daily. Proverbs 15:1 teaches, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The principle is simple, the choice is always yours. No one makes you angry. No one forces your reaction. You choose, you decide, and in that decision, your power is revealed. Speak to diffuse, not to destroy. Respond to build, not to break. You must start where you are. Practice calmness in the small, seemingly insignificant moments. Get cut off in traffic? Smile instead of seethe. Get interrupted in a meeting? Take a breath before you respond. These are not nuisances. They are training grounds. You are in the gym of your character. Every annoyance is a drill. Every provocation is a rep. And every time you respond with peace, you grow stronger. Just like athletes train long before they enter the arena, you must drill calmness before conflict knocks. You do not wait until the fire rises to find your extinguishers. You train before. Henry Ford, the industrial titan, understood this deeply. He built not only machines but movements, and in doing so he faced fierce resistance from rivals, from lawmakers, even from his own investors. But Mr. Ford rarely reacted in rage. He believed in efficiency of emotion as much as efficiency of mechanics. When Mr. Ford was heavily criticized in the press, instead of launching a defensive public tirade, he quietly continued working. When asked why he didn't respond, he said, "You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. You build it by doing it." That's calmness as strategy. Mr. Ford knew his mission. He had no time to waste on temporary fires. He had an empire to build. And empires are not built in haste or anger. They are built in control. This is the model. You do not need to silence every critic. You do not need to correct every insult. You need only to master yourself. So train daily. Practice silence over snapbacks. Choose pauses over panic. When tension rises, let your breath deepen. Let your voice soften. Let your words become tools of peace. Calmness does not mean passivity. It means precision. It means choosing the right response, not the loudest one. Over time, this becomes who you are. Not because it was always natural, but because it became necessary. The world will test you. People will provoke you. And the storm will come. But if you have drilled in peace, you will not be shaken. You will not lash out. You will lead. Let every day be your training ground. Let every irritation become your opportunity. Because the man who stays calm when others lose control is the man who commands the room, not with volume but with presence. Calmness is not weakness. It is strength perfectly harnessed. And when it is mastered, it becomes your shield, your sword, your silent power. So stay ready, train daily, and build the kind of peace that cannot be provoked. That is how leaders are made. That is how legacies are built. Let go of the need to be right. Much of the anger you feel does not come from injustice. It comes from ego, the need to prove yourself, the hunger to win an argument, the desire to dominate a conversation or come out on top. But what if you didn't need to be right? What if instead of chasing victory, you chose wholeness? What if the real success was not in the comeback, but in the calm? Romans 12:18 gives us a liberating truth. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. That peace isn't always mutual. It doesn't mean everyone will like you, agree with you, or validate you, but it does mean you refuse to fuel the fire. It means you refuse to let someone else's chaos become your climate. Peace sometimes means letting go of the last word, of the clever reply, of the perfect retort. It means choosing harmony over temporary victory. Because when you stop arguing with fools, you stop looking like one. And when you choose to be whole instead of right, you gain something that no argument can offer, your dignity. Imagine you're walking through a muddy path. Someone ahead of you turns and throws dirt. You have two choices: stop, turn back, and wrestle in the mud, or keep walking towards solid ground. Which one gets you closer to your destination? The answer is always the same: walk away. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most scrutinized presidents in history, faced waves of political slander. Opponents questioned his health, his policies, even his character. But Roosevelt rarely responded in kind. Often he would simply smile and say nothing, because he understood a timeless principle. Not every battle is worth the war. Not every comment deserves a comeback. His focus was not on applause, but on outcomes. He was building something bigger than rebuttals. That's the model. That's maturity. You don't have to silence every critic. You don't have to correct every misconception. You only have to stay faithful to your mission. Your peace is your proof. When you argue out of ego, you lose. Even if you win the conversation, you lose your calm, your clarity, your composure. But when you choose to walk away, you retain control. You keep your focus intact, and you remain aligned with something greater than pride. You must train for this. The next time someone challenges your worth, your ideas, or your decisions, ask yourself, am I trying to protect my integrity or just my ego? If it's ego, let it go. If it's integrity, let your actions speak. Because the truth doesn't need shouting, it only needs living. Let your peace be louder than your arguments. Let your presence do the speaking. Let your patience speak volumes. Because every time you walk away from petty conflict, you prove your strength. Every time you choose peace over pride, you gain ground. And every time you value purpose over ego, you grow. This is how leaders move. This is how wisdom walks. Quiet, focused, untangled. So choose your peace. Guard it like gold. And remember, not every fight is a battlefield. Some are just distractions. And you have somewhere higher to go. Keep walking. Forgiveness frees you from emotional slavery. Holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It does not wound them. It wounds you. The bitterness you hold in your heart does not punish your offender. It corrodes your peace, your joy, your clarity. Every time you replay the offense in your mind, you tighten the chains around your own soul. Matthew 6:14-13 makes it clear. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. Forgiveness is not optional, it is essential. But it is also often misunderstood. Forgiveness is not approval, it is release. It does not mean what they did was right. It means you refuse to stay bound by it any longer. When you forgive, you drop the weight. You break the chain, you take your power back. Unforgiveness is a cage, and the only key is in your hand. You can stay inside, feeding your resentment, nursing your wounds, replaying the offense, or you can walk free, but you cannot do both. Harriet Tubman understood this better than most. Born into slavery, she endured unspeakable cruelty. But after escaping, she didn't just find freedom for herself, she returned to lead hundreds to safety. When asked how she found the strength to do it, Harriet Tubman often spoke of a higher purpose. She forgave those who had enslaved her, not because they were worthy of it, but because she refused to remain a prisoner in her heart. She would not let hatred steal her future. That is real freedom. That is real strength. To forgive is to say, you no longer have power over me. It is to close a chapter that was never meant to define your whole story. It is to choose healing over hatred, clarity over confusion, and power over pain. Forgiveness is not always instant. It is a process. Sometimes you must forgive the same person 1,000 times in your heart before the bitterness breaks. But every time you choose to let go, you move forward. You breathe deeper. You rise higher, because forgiveness is a ladder and unforgiveness is a trap. You must make peace with the past, or you will poison your future. The grudge may feel like protection, but it is a prison. Release it. Not because they deserve your mercy, but because you deserve your peace. Forgive, not to free them, but to free yourself. When you forgive, you return to your power. You stop letting someone else's actions write your emotional script. You reclaim your narrative. You move from being a victim to a victor. So how do you begin? Start with honesty. Acknowledge the pain. Speak it out. Name the wound. And then declare your decision. I will not carry this any longer. Pray for the strength to let go. Ask for divine help. Write a letter you never send. Say the words you've been choking on. Then take a deep breath and release. Forgiveness does not erase memory, but it transforms meaning. What once defined you can now refine you. What once broke you can now build you. Don't live in a cage that you have the power to unlock. Release the past. Walk forward. Forgive, not because they are worthy, but because you are. 10. Guard your peace like a treasure. Peace is your greatest asset. More valuable than money. More powerful than influence. More necessary than applause. Without peace, even the greatest victories feel hollow. Without peace, you cannot think clearly, act wisely, or love deeply. That's why Proverbs 4:23 declares, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Your peace is a gatekeeper to your destiny. It must be guarded with intention, protected like treasure, preserved like legacy. Because once your peace is compromised, your decision-making suffers, your focus fragments, your purpose drifts, and your life, once clear and full of momentum, becomes foggy. So guard your peace like you guard your bank account. Would you hand out your financial passwords to anyone who asked? Of course not. Then why give your mental and emotional peace to foolish arguments, toxic people, or imaginary offenses? Not everything deserves your energy. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every insult is worth your notice. Learn the sacred art of saying no. No to drama. No to unnecessary triggers. No to chaos that comes dressed in urgency but delivers only exhaustion. You were not created to live in constant noise. You were made for purpose, for vision, for greatness. And greatness does not grow in clutter. It grows in clarity. Think of your mind like a castle, strong, sacred, elevated. Not everyone deserves entry. Keep the gates high and the standards higher. Let only what aligns with your calling pass through. Your peace is not public property. It is a sanctuary, a fortress, and it should not be violated by every demand that knocks. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places, not because he was avoiding people, but because he was preserving power. Even he, the Prince of Peace, knew the importance of separation to maintain strength. You must do the same. Retreat is not weakness. It is strategy. Start your day with peace. Anchor your routines in stillness. Meditate, pray, read, reflect. Fill your internal well before the world makes a withdrawal. The chaos outside should never be louder than the calm within. Your peace is the soil where ideas grow, where healing happens, where leadership forms. Distractions are thieves. They don't come to entertain you. They come to erode you. Stay vigilant. Ask yourself daily, is this conversation adding peace or subtracting it? Is this activity feeding my soul or draining it? The moment you feel your peace slipping, pause, recenter, protect it, because when you are rooted in peace, nothing can shake you. The storms may rise, but you will remain. The critics may shout, but you will not flinch. The world may spin, but you will move with purpose. Build your life around peace. Design your schedule with it in mind. Choose your relationships through that lens. Prioritize rest without guilt. Set boundaries without apology. Because peace is not passive. It is intentional. It is powerful. It is priceless. And remember, a peaceful spirit is a magnet for wisdom, strength, and favor. It attracts clarity. It nurtures resilience. It keeps your vision sharp and your soul unburdened. So protect your peace. Guard it fiercely. Preserve it daily. Because when peace leads, purpose follows. And when purpose is clear, your life becomes unstoppable. 11. You cannot be offended without your consent. No one can inject offense into your heart unless you open the door. You are not a sponge, helplessly soaking up every word, glare, or accusation that comes your way. You are a gatekeeper. You decide what gets in and what stays out. People may throw insults, spread rumors, or attack your character, but unless you accept their words, they hold no power. You may not control their mouths, but you do control the space between their voice and your reaction. The reason most people live offended is not because of what was said, but because of how they've trained themselves to respond. They've wired their emotions to react instantly without reflection. And that reaction is the very trap. Offense seduces you into emotional bondage. It pulls you away from reason and peace and locks you into a cycle of retaliation. But Proverbs 19:11 says, "A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense." The scripture doesn't call overlooking an offense weakness, it calls it glory. Why? Because it takes strength to rise above. It takes wisdom to wait, breathe, and choose a higher road. That is not surrender. That is mastery. So how do you begin to break free from offense? You start by deciding that your peace is not for sale. Not today, not ever. Your emotional balance is not up for auction. You begin to train your mind to evaluate what happens around you without emotionally absorbing it. The first thought to adopt is this is about them, not me. Someone else's behavior is not your identity. Their insult is not your reflection. Their gossip is not your truth. Replace reaction with reflection. Ask, is this worth my peace? Is this who I want to be? Does this reflect my calling? When you do this, you begin to reclaim the emotional territory you had given away. Even Jesus, the model of divine strength, was insulted, mocked, beaten, and spat upon. And still, he chose silence. He chose clarity over chaos. When the crowd hurled slander, he didn't shout back. He stood firm. That kind of calm under fire is not weakness. It is royal restraint. It is spiritual power. When you rise above offense, you do more than just protect your peace. You model maturity. You preserve your energy. You focus your life on the mission, not the noise. And your actions begin to speak louder than any insult ever could. So choose to be unshaken. Choose to be deliberate. When offense knocks, do not answer the door. You are not obligated to carry what was thrown at you. You are not defined by those who misunderstand you. You are a gatekeeper. Stand tall. Guard the gates. Let peace be your doorman. Offense will come, but reaction, that's optional. And when you train yourself to respond with patience, with wisdom, and with restraint, you walk not only in strength, but in glory. 12. You rise above what you understand. Anger often comes from misunderstanding, a failure to see the whole picture. When someone wrongs you, speaks harshly, or acts out of character, the immediate instinct is to defend, to retaliate, to feel wounded. But more often than not, what you're seeing is not the full story. It's only a surface expression of something deeper within them. And when you gain that insight, anger begins to loosen its grip. You cannot rise above what you don't understand, but once you do, everything changes. You move from reaction to reflection, from emotion to mastery. Understanding gives you perspective. It sharpens your discernment. It reminds you that people act out not always because of you, but because of what's happening in them. Hurt people hurt people. Insecure people provoke others to validate themselves. Jealous people gossip to fill the emptiness inside. But their behavior, no matter how sharp, does not define you. It reflects them. Ephesians 6:12 gives us powerful insight. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That means it's bigger than one comment, one insult, or one person's action. There's a deeper war at play, a battle inside hearts and minds. When you understand this, your enemies look smaller, and your peace becomes stronger. To rise above, you must pause. When offended, ask yourself, what pain is this person projecting? What insecurity are they hiding behind this insult? What fear is fueling their anger? That moment of inquiry transforms the atmosphere. Their words begin to lose weight, and your wisdom begins to grow. Suddenly, their actions don't seem so personal. Their offense doesn't seem so powerful, and you no longer feel compelled to match their chaos. Instead, you choose calm. You respond from a place of authority, not anxiety. You lead, not react. You build peace, not walls. Abraham Lincoln, a man constantly under fire from critics, opponents, and even his own allies. Yet he carried a calmness that disarmed many. One journalist mocked him in print for years, questioning his intelligence, decisions, and leadership. Yet years later, Mr. Lincoln offered this same man a government position. When asked why, Lincoln replied, "He had talents I could use." That is the power of understanding over offense, of purpose over pride. Mr. Lincoln didn't let the man's past insults determine his value. He looked beyond the noise and saw utility. He valued contribution over conflict. That's how legacies are built, not in emotional outbursts, but in strategic clarity. You must adopt the same lens. Step back, rise up, see the bigger picture. Don't get entangled in every slight. Don't let offense become your identity. Understand the source and you disarm its sting. Understand the pain and you reclaim your peace. This is not about excusing poor behavior. It's about protecting your energy. It's about staying rooted in truth. Because when you understand people, you navigate them wisely. You stop taking things personally. You begin to lead with empathy, confidence, and calm authority. So the next time anger rises, stop and ask what's really going on here. Let that question guide you to wisdom. Let it turn conflict into clarity, and let it guard your heart with the peace that surpasses all understanding. Understand and stay unshaken. 13. Stop letting temporary people control your permanent mood. You hand away your power every time you let a momentary insult spoil your whole day. A single comment, a rolled eye, a careless word, and suddenly your joy is gone, your focus derailed, your energy consumed by someone who may never appear in your life again. Why give them that power? Why allow a temporary figure to shape how you treat your loved ones, approach your work, or pursue your mission? You are not a puppet dancing on the strings of other people's moods. You are the sculptor of your own inner world. You decide what gets in, you decide what stays out. The reason most people remain perpetually bothered is because they allow temporary people to take up permanent space. Their peace is hijacked by insignificant moments. Their purpose is stalled by petty noise. But Isaiah 26:3 offers a clear remedy. You will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you, not whose mind is on the co-worker who rolled their eyes, not on the neighbor who disrespected them, not on the random stranger who cut them off in traffic. Peace is not found in obsession over offenses. It's found in focus. When your mind is fixed on purpose, on mission, on God, you become unshakable. So here's what you do. The next time someone tries to pull you into conflict, you pause, you breathe, and you ask yourself a few powerful questions. Does this matter in a week? In a year? Will this person's opinion pay my bills, raise my children, or build my future? If the answer is no, then let it go. Why carry what doesn't count? Why bleed energy into empty battles? George Washington understood this well. During the Revolutionary War, he was not only fighting a global empire, he was navigating betrayal, criticism, and slander from within his own ranks. Some of his own generals doubted him, whispered behind his back, even plotted against him. Yet Mr. Washington remained composed, dignified, focused, not because he lacked emotion, but because he prioritized mission over ego. He could not afford to pause the revolution to correct every insult. He had a nation to birth, and so do you in your own way. You have a life to build, a calling to answer, a legacy to shape. And that calling is too sacred to be sabotaged by emotional distractions. Guard your emotional bandwidth. Stop giving power to people who haven't earned influence. Don't treat passing storms like permanent forecasts. Learn to shake off the dust, to smile and walk away, to bless and keep building, because you are responsible for the climate of your mind. No one else. Choose stillness over reaction. Choose elevation over entanglement. Every time you do, you strengthen your core. You reinforce your purpose. You become like the oak tree, deep-rooted, unmoved by surface winds. Let people talk. Let critics bark. Let the world spin. You stay centered. Stay planted. Stay focused. The work ahead of you is too important. The vision too grand. The destiny too precious. Don't trade it for a grudge. Don't surrender it for offense. Protect your peace from short-term noise, because the moment you learn to walk away from what doesn't matter, you step boldly into what does, and that's where your power lives. That's where your future begins. Master the pause before the storm. The most powerful person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who masters the pause. That sacred second between provocation and reaction is where destiny is shaped. In that quiet moment, character is revealed, futures are protected, and storms are calmed. You do not conquer anger by suppression. Suppression is just buried emotion waiting to explode. You conquer anger through awareness, and awareness lives in the pause. It is in the space where you choose your response, rather than serve your reaction. That choice, tiny, invisible, silent, is where your strength is built. Mastering the pause begins with a single habit: breathe and buy time. You don't need to win the moment. You need to protect the mission. When someone provokes you, don't answer instantly. Instead, breathe deeply. Count backwards. 10 to 1. Take a short walk. Step outside. Turn your attention inward. Respond only when your voice carries purpose, not poison. That 1 second of silence might save a friendship, a reputation, a business deal, or even your peace of mind. It is in the delay that you gain distance, and in that distance, you gain clarity. What seems urgent in the fire of emotion often looks trivial in the calm of reflection. Winston Churchill, known for his fiery speeches and sharp wit, carried within him a practice that many overlooked. Though he could command crowds and shake governments with his words, he was careful with them. His secret? He rarely responded to criticism instantly. When attacked, questioned, or slandered, even in the chaos of war, Churchill would often say, "Let me sleep on that." Walk, because he understood that rash responses destroy strategy. He knew that strength is not proved by how fast you speak, but by how wisely you speak, and wisdom lives in patience. You must do the same. Every conflict, every insult, every challenge is a fork in the road. React fast, and you often regret. Respond slowly, and you lead. Mastering the pause is not weakness, it is control, self-command. It is knowing that no one else dictates your state. Train yourself in this. Practice in the small things so you're ready for the big ones. Someone cuts you off in traffic? Breathe. Your coworker speaks out of turn? Pause. A relative presses your buttons at a family gathering? Step away. Every pause is a rep. Every silence is a set. You are building emotional muscle. Let your pause be your power. Not because you are passive, but because you are precise. Because you refuse to let a 5-second offense hijack your 5-year future. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You only need to protect your alignment, your clarity, your mission. And when you do speak, let it be with strength, with vision, with calm fire. Because the person who can pause before they strike, who can think before they speak, who can breathe before they battle, that person is unstoppable. So let others rush. Let them react. Let them shout. You master the pause, and you will master everything. 15. Choose mission over emotion. Every time you get angry, you delay your mission. You burn energy meant for your calling on emotions that offer no return. You slow down momentum meant for movement. The cost of anger is high. It steals your focus. It clouds your judgment. And most dangerously, it redirects your time from creation to reaction. Your emotions are not your enemy. They are signals, not steering wheels. They can inform you, but they must never control you. When anger starts to guide your actions, it becomes a thief of purpose, a thief of productivity, a thief of peace. The wise man asks a better question. Is this offense more important than my assignment? That one question clarifies everything. It separates temporary distractions from eternal responsibilities. Paul understood this well when he wrote in 1 Corinthians 9:26, "I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air." Paul wasn't here to waste punches. Neither are you. You are not here to win every argument. You are here to build, lead, impact, and grow. You are not here to be reactive to every insult, every glance, every whisper. You are here to fulfill a calling, and that calling is far too great to trade for a moment of rage. To keep your focus, you must remember your why you wake up early, why you stay up late, why you keep showing up when no one claps, why you push through discomfort, why you believe in something greater. When emotion rises, hold your mission tighter. Let the noise fade beneath the weight of your purpose. The insult may sting, the criticism may cut, the betrayal may burn, but your assignment is still waiting. Your future still calls. Your legacy still matters. Do not let temporary pain hijack permanent progress. Let your future speak louder than your feelings. Thomas Edison, 10,000 failed experiments, a mountain of doubt, a sea of critics. He had every reason to quit, to snap, to lash out. But Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He didn't get angry. He got clearer on what didn't work, clearer on what might, clearer on why he started in the first place. That is how champions operate. They don't react emotionally. They respond strategically. They don't waste their fire on critics. They channel it into creation. You must do the same. Every time you choose clarity over conflict, you win. Every time you stay the course while others get distracted, you pull ahead. Every time you protect your mission over your mood, you strengthen your destiny. Anger is a fire. It can burn down your house or it can forge steel. You choose what it becomes. Use it wisely. Let it be fuel for focus, not flames of destruction. When the emotion comes, and it will, don't suppress it. Redirect it. Breathe. Step back. Ask what matters most right now, and then choose the path that honors your mission. That's how you rise. That's how you lead. That's how you win. Not by shouting louder, but by staying focused longer. So the next time anger knocks, don't answer with rage. Answer with resolve. Your calling is too important. Your mission too sacred. Your future too bright. Protect it at all costs. 16. People reflect your inner state. What bothers you on the outside is often a mirror of what's unresolved inside. The sting of criticism, the irritation of being overlooked, the anger when someone crosses a line, these don't begin out there, they begin within. When your peace is firm, nothing shakes you. But when your inner world is unsettled, even the smallest things feel like threats. Emotional control is not a matter of suppressing rage or pretending to be calm. It is an inside job. We often think we are reacting to people, but more often we are reacting to our own reflection in them. People don't really see you. They reflect back what you believe about yourself. That's why you can receive the same feedback from two people and react completely differently. One hits a nerve, the other doesn't. The difference, your internal state. Jesus said it plainly in Luke 6:45, "Out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks." What overflows from someone else often reveals what is overflowing in you. If your heart is full of fear, then every question feels like judgment. Every disagreement sounds like rejection. But when your heart is full of purpose, most things bounce right off. They can insult you, and it doesn't sink in. They can question you, and it doesn't shake your confidence. Because your identity is not anchored in their opinions, it's rooted in your own clarity. So what do? You check your inner state daily. Ask yourself, do I feel centered today? Am I grounded in my vision? Do I know who I am and what I stand for? If not, don't point fingers. Don't rush to defend yourself. Heal the mirror. Clean the lens. Do the work inside. Journal. Pray. Reflect. Return to your source. Build your inner strength like a temple. Place bricks of discipline, mortar of truth, pillars of identity. When you do that, the winds of the world blow, but they don't bend you. You become immune on the outside because you're fortified on the inside. Take Eleanor Roosevelt. She was no stranger to criticism. As First Lady, she redefined the role, spoke her mind, and challenged societal norms. She was mocked in newspapers, attacked by opponents, even ridiculed by members of her own party. But she famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." She didn't say the world wouldn't try to insult you. She said you don't have to accept it. That's the essence of power. It's not in silencing the world. It's in anchoring yourself so deeply that the world's noise loses its volume. Your power is internal. It lives in your self-concept, in your discipline, in your decision to rise above. So take ownership. Don't wait for the world to change. Change the way you see yourself. Build your foundation. Strengthen your heart. Clarify your values. And choose every day to respond from a place of wholeness. When your inner world is built strong, the outside world eventually aligns. People start treating you with the respect you embody. Situations that once shook you now reveal your growth. You move from reactive to proactive, from insecure to anchored. That is the path to emotional mastery. Not through resistance, but through inner repair. Not by demanding respect, but by embodying it. Heal the mirror and watch your world transform. 17. Elevate. Don't escalate. Anger loves company, but leadership requires solitude. Anger wants you to react, to join the chaos, to match fire with fire. But leadership requires that you rise above the flames. When you react, you escalate. When you rise, you elevate. And only one of those choices brings peace. You were not made to fight every fire. You were made to walk through the heat without being consumed. Romans 12:21 gives us the blueprint. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's not passive resistance. It's powerful redirection. You don't win by matching someone's negative energy. You win by maintaining your own. You must understand your value is not determined by the volume of your reply, but by the vision behind your restraint. When you stay calm in conflict, when you pause instead of pounce, when you lead instead of lash out, you become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone. You decide the direction. So how do you rise? It starts with one rule. Don't fight for dominance. Fight for direction. Ask yourself, where do I want this moment to take me? If the answer is nowhere, then don't go. If the argument leads to no progress, don't participate. Let them rage. Let them provoke. You stay still. Stillness is not surrender. It's strategy. Real strength is silent. It does not need to be loud to be powerful. It does not need to retaliate to be respected. Power is presence, and presence comes from purpose. When you know where you're headed, you don't let distractions detour you. Take Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, stripped of freedom, separated from his family, surrounded by hatred. When he was released, he had every human reason to lash out, to seek revenge, to respond to violence with fury, but he didn't. He elevated. He chose unity over vengeance, dialogue over destruction. And that is why he didn't just survive. He transformed a nation. Nelson Mandela knew what few are willing to admit. Peace is louder than war. Restraint echoes longer than rage. Dignity outlasts dominance. That is the legacy of a leader. So the next time someone tests you, don't match them, outgrow them. Don't answer with equal aggression. Answer with higher vision. Don't stoop to their level. Stand on your values. You don't owe the world a reaction. You owe it a revelation of what maturity looks like, of what grace under pressure feels like, of what wisdom in motion sounds like. You are not here to mirror dysfunction. You are here to model greatness. When you lead, you will be misunderstood. When you stay silent, people will assume you are weak. When you walk away, they will call it cowardice. Let them, because while they're talking, you're built. While they're arguing, you're growing. And while they're focused on you, you're focused on the mission. Remember, anger may feel strong in the moment, but peace endures. Anger burns bridges. Peace builds kingdoms. Choose wisely. You were not made for petty battles. You were made for a powerful purpose. Guard it, protect it, lead from it. Because the world doesn't need more reactors, it needs more risers. And that's what you are becoming. 18. Say less, hold more power. Every time you speak from emotion, you give away your position, your clarity, your strength, your authority. All of it leaks the moment you let anger take the microphone. Anger loves noise. It feeds on the echo of its own voice. But wisdom thrives in silence. The less you say in conflict, the more control you retain. The more pause you command, the more presence you build. The world doesn't need another emotional explosion. It needs your steady hand. In a time when everyone rushes to speak, the true leader is the one who knows when to hold their tongue. Ecclesiastes 3:7 reminds us, there is a time to keep silent and a time to speak. Wisdom is knowing which moment you're in, and in moments of tension, silence is often your greatest strategy. When provoked, speak less. Let your silence say what your restraint cannot. Let your stillness declare what your outrage never could. People listen differently to those who speak rarely but with impact. The one who measures their words is the one whose words are remembered. Train yourself to pause. Ask, will my words build or break? If they will wound, hold them. If they will guide, deliver them with grace. But never speak just to react. That's how wars start, in homes, in offices, in friendships, in nations. Words are sparks, and one careless word can set fire to a field you spent years planting. Leadership begins with self-control. Power starts with discipline. You must become a master of your mouth. When the temperature rises, lower your tone. When voices escalate, lower your volume. When everyone reacts, you reflect. That is how strength is revealed. Calvin Coolidge, America's 30th president, famously known as Silent Cal. In debates, he rarely spoke. He didn't waste words proving points, but when he did speak, the room stopped. He conserved power. He spoke to direct, not to defend. His silence wasn't passivity, it was precision. He understood that noise does not equal influence. Clarity does. Coolidge knew the art of conservation. He knew that silence is not the absence of speech, but the presence of thought. He didn't argue to win, he led to build. And that's what made his voice powerful. You must become the same. In anger, speak less. In confusion, pause longer. In conflict, respond slower. Because every word you speak has weight, and every sentence is either a seed or a sword. Choose wisely. You were not made to fight every battle. You were not called to correct every insult. Your purpose is not in reaction, it's in direction. Preserve your power. Conserve your clarity. Speak when your words can move something forward, not just because you want to be heard. Powerful people are not the ones who talk most. They are the ones who say just enough to shift the room. They are not carried by emotion, but guided by intention. You must be intentional with your speech, deliberate with your silence, and strategic with your energy. The next time conflict arises, do not rush to speak. Wait, breathe, weigh your words, let your silence be the wall that absorbs the fire, and when you finally speak, make every syllable count. That is how wisdom sounds. That is how peace is preserved. That is how leaders are made. You were built for the long game. Anger is a short-term strategy. It burns hot and fast, consumes energy quickly, and leaves nothing behind but ashes. It feels powerful in the moment, but it doesn't last. It's like striking a match in the wind, bright for a second, then gone. But you weren't made for temporary flames. You were built for legacy, for endurance, for something that stands the test of time. And if you want long-term success, you must outgrow short-term reaction. Galatians 6:9 offers this truth. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That's not just a spiritual principle, it's a mindset. Your future requires patience, and patience cannot thrive where emotion rules. When you are quick to anger, you are quick to forfeit the reward of steady progress. Success is not built on outbursts, it is built on resilience, and resilience demands discipline. The kind of discipline that keeps building when others break down. The kind of focus that stays calm while others spiral. The kind of inner strength that sees the long road and still walks it, step by step. Your emotions will scream for immediate release. They will demand justice, reaction, retaliation, but your destiny, it whispers, calls for consistent progress, not emotional flare-ups. It rewards the one who can hold back, who can breathe through the fire, who can walk away from the argument and keep their eyes on the vision. So the next time anger knocks, ask yourself, does this moment build my future or steal from it? If it's the latter, walk away. Protect your energy. Every second you remain calm is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Every moment you resist reaction, you reinforce your future. Andrew Carnegie, born into poverty, faced betrayal from business partners, opposition from rivals, and constant attacks from critics. But Andrew Carnegie didn't respond with vengeance. He didn't waste years trying to get even. He didn't trade his peace for temporary wins. He built, he kept his mind on his mission. He played the long game, and today his name is etched in libraries, universities, and history books. Why? Because he chose vision over emotion, legacy over ego, progress over pettiness. He understood that true power is not proven in a heated moment. It's revealed in the work that lasts long after the conflict has passed. You must do the same. Let your legacy be louder than your reaction. Let your consistency be stronger than your fury. Let your endurance speak when your feelings try to shout. This doesn't mean you ignore injustice or bury your emotions. It means you channel them. Use that energy to build something unshakable. Let anger remind you of what matters, but don't let it become your compass. Emotions are signals, not steering wheels. Stay steady. Stay locked in. Your assignment is too important. Your influence too valuable. Your future too bright. Don't trade it for a 5-second explosion. Because here's the truth. Anger fades. Arguments fade. Even the people who trigger you will fade. But your legacy, that endures, that is what you are building. That is what matters. So build with patience, build with clarity, build with the kind of strength that doesn't flinch when the fire rises. And when it's all said and done, let your life be the proof that wisdom lasts longer than rage. Legacy is never built in moments of fury. It's built in moments of focus. Choose wisely. You set the emotional tone wherever you go. The strongest person in the room is not the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who sets the tone, the one who doesn't react but responds, the one who doesn't wait to absorb the room's energy. They create it. They walk in with peace, with purpose, with presence, and suddenly the whole room shifts. You either decide your mood in advance or someone else will decide it for you. If you don't lead your emotions, you'll be led by the emotions of others. Proverbs 25:28 offers a sharp truth. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. When you let others dictate your emotional state, you become defenseless, vulnerable to offense, exposed to manipulation, unanchored in the storm. But when you bring calm, clarity, and vision, everything changes. You become the thermostat setting the emotional temperature instead of the thermometer reacting to it. Your presence begins to do the talking. You command the space not by force, but by focus, and others begin to mirror you. So how do you lead emotionally? You prepare. You don't stumble into your day. You don't wander into conflict. You declare peace over yourself before the meeting, the conversation, the confrontation. You walk in grounded, not guessing. You carry your clarity like armor. You decide, I will not be moved. You breathe deep before you speak. You think long before you react. And you lead with tone, not tension. You refuse to match chaos. You become the standard. Look at Martin Luther King Jr., a man who faced hatred, riots, injustice, and even death threats. He had every reason to respond with rage, but he never did. He carried dignity, clarity, and an unshakable purpose. His voice didn't just echo in history because it was eloquent. It echoed because it calmed storms, because it came from inner stillness, because he was the storm, a steady, righteous force of change that didn't need to shout to be heard. That's the power of tone. When your spirit is anchored, your words carry weight. When your heart is settled, your presence brings peace. And when your vision is clear, your leadership becomes magnetic. Set the tone. Before the world can trigger you, you must train yourself. In the morning, set your mind. In moments of tension, check your breath. In times of conflict, return to your values. Speak from purpose, not pressure. Others may try to provoke you, but you don't flinch. Others may bring drama, but you bring direction. Because you know storms are loud, but anchors are quiet, and you choose to be the anchor. This isn't about pretending you have it all together. It's about practicing mastery, practicing awareness, practicing leadership. It's about being the one others look to when things start to spin. Be the calm in the chaos. Be the clarity in the confusion. Be the peace in the pressure, because the world doesn't follow the loudest voice, it follows the clearest one. And when your tone is anchored in peace, people listen, they soften, they shift. Lead with peace. Set the tone, and the world will follow. You now hold the keys to emotional freedom. What will you do with them? Will you stay the same, or rise into the version of yourself you were born to be? The world doesn't need more reactors. It needs more responders, more still waters, more unshakable souls. Begin now. Forgive quickly. Focus deeply. Guard fiercely. And remember, the most powerful person in any room is the one who stays calm. That person is you. 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 That person is you.